لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you are probably all aware, a lot has taken place on social media in relation to certain events over the past week or so, and it's created a sandstorm. Many opinions have been expressed, and the crux of this particular video is to put forward information that the pseudo intellectuals that represent us have really not implemented the knowledge that they have gained. You know, they've got all of these qualifications and whatnot, and it's brothers like myself and others who are on social media who are a grade below a student of knowledge. You know, some are more knowledgeable than others, some can even be classified as students of knowledge, but at the end of the day we won't allow these personalities, more so across the pond. So what are you talking about, Haji? Okay, so the topic at hand is rejecting what is known by necessity in Al-Islam. Meaning, Al-Islam has basic fundamentals and tenets that are known by necessity from the layman to those who are knowledgeable. It's known by necessity, meaning مَعْلُومًا مِنَ الدِّينِ بِالضَّرُورَةِ. To be a Muslim, you would know this by necessity. It is known, it's common. Now what's happening is that mental gymnastics have been employed, absolute horrendous and pathetic misuse of usul, and this is what it is. These pseudo-intellectuals who are supposed to be representing us do not have the testicular fortitude to just call it out as it is. Rejecting anything that is known by necessity in Al-Islam is kufr akbar, yukhriju sahibu min al-millah. That anyone that rejects any of these, and it's not going to be myself that's just voicing this opinion. I'm going to go into the classical scholarship which these so-called pseudo-intellectuals are trying to brush under the carpet. Look, we have a right as a Muslim to speak the haqq even if it's against yourself. This deen has a responsibility. It needs the rijal, it needs the men to stand up when it matters. Add as a disclaimer, those who are familiar with me and my channel and my videos know that I'm very, very careful when it comes to takfir. Very careful. But when such people who are supposed to promote Islam and its true teachings, these pseudo-celebrity scholars, it's baffling that someone like myself, who considers himself a grade below a student of knowledge, has to come out and say no. And we have the right to do that. You could list all your qualifications as much as you want. This is another thing that I noticed. Oh, okay, he's got this qualification and this and that, but then implementation is non-existent. So let's now go into the video and show these pseudo-intellectuals who misapply usul and try to use formalities and technicalities that no, there's honorable students of knowledge and ulama that will call you out for the absolute traitors to the ilm that you've gained, and we will not stand by, we will not sit idly and allow you to misguide the masses. So let's get into this video. As you can see on screen, we've got the book by Imam al-Nawawi, Imam al-Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi presents a statement from al-Imam al-Rafi'i, and he mentioned in relation to at-takfir, the person that rejects something that where there's mujma' alayh, there's something that is unanimously agreed upon the Muslims. But this isn't something that's ala al-itlaq, like this is not basically in its true generality. Meaning if someone rejects something which is ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura, this is not ala al-itlaq. But when is it generally speaking where it's accepted that you can make takfir on the person that rejects something that is ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura? He says, bal man jahada mujma'an alayhi fihi nassun. But a person that rejects something that where there's a unanimous consensus, where there's a text. You see? Where there's a text. وَهُوَ مِنْ أَمُورِ الْإِسْلَامِ الظَّاهِرَةِ. And this is something from the matters of Islam that is apparent, that is clear, which is shared in its understanding from the khawa'isu wal awam, from the sort of the ones that basically khawa'is, those who are the students of knowledge, the ulama, and those who are awam as well. Those are the common folk. So it's shared between, that is zahir, that there's a nas, and all of us are aware of it. What does Imam Nawawi say in relation to the statement of Al-Imam Rafi'i? He says, Kas-salat, like the prayer. What else? Or zakat, like the zakat. Or hajj, or like the hajj. Or tahrim al-khamri, or zina. Listen to this. Or the prohibition of khamr and zina. Okay? So everyone knows from the khas and the awam, the ones that, who are the students of knowledge, the ulama, the faqih, and whatnot. And then the awam, they all know that this is mujma' alayh. This is unanimously agreed that this is common knowledge. Ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura. Okay? What does he say? He says, وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ, where the arrow is over. And things that are similar to that. Things that are similar to that. What is that person who rejects things that are similar to that? We know what these things are. This is ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura. This is known by necessity. And what does Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi about such a person that rejects something that is mujma' alayh, that is something that is ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura, like obviously the salat and zina and hajj and tahrim al-khamr or zina wa nahwi dhalik, and things similar to that, فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ, as where the arrow is over. فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. Okay? Come back to me before I read on the next part. Those pseudo-intellectuals, right, with their horrendous, diabolical misuse of usul, because they got these PhDs, they know how to twist and bend the text. But I, myself, personally, I'm very careful when it comes to a takfir. Very. You can go through my videos and you know that it's a very dangerous matter. But something that's clear and is known by necessity, like Imam Nawawi presented in the statement of, I forgot his name now, Imam al-Rafi'i, anyone that rejects something that is, known, which has a nas, which has what? Fihi nasun, that has a nas, and then he presents the example that is mujma' alay, meaning that these are mujma' alay, salat, khamr and whatnot, and zina, wa nahwi dhalik, and things that are similar to it. We know Lutiyya and others. This is known, mujma' alay. The ulama have wrote books on this. And what did he mention? فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. He is a kafir. Billahi al-Ali al-Azim. So what's this selective outrage? The one that issues kufri statements, like the one that we know, we don't want to obviously go into it because many videos have been done on it. Why are you getting so outraged? Because you know that the truth is that such people are kuffar. مخرج صاحبه من الملة. But no, add these pathetic usuls and present this and present that. One was presenting the story of Usama bin Zayd. When the person declared, look, this is a person in the battlefield entering into Islam because he feared the sword, as Usama bin Zayd radhiyallahu anhu thought, and he killed him. And then the Prophet ﷺ says that, did you open up his heart? What's this got to do with someone who's a born Muslim who rejects something that is ma'luma min ad-din bid-darura, and you're trying to connect the two? No, why is this scholarship? Look, stop presenting yourselves as intellectuals when in reality you guys are neo-murji'ah to a certain extent. Anything that is known by necessity, mukhriju sahibu min al-millah, kufr akbar, as Imam Nawawi presents. Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi continues and says that وَمَنْ جَحَدَ مُجْمَعًا عَلَيْهِ لَا يَعْرِفُهُ إِلَّا الْخَوَاصِ, that those who reject something that you unanimously agreed upon, but it's not known, or that thing is not known except by the khawas, like just in the ulama and the students of knowledge and the fuqaha and whatnot, like the daughter's right to the sixth, okay, and the prohibition of marrying during the waiting period, and things that are agreed upon by the people of the era, which are basically new rulings as such. And then he says, فَلَيْسَ بِكَافِرٍ لِلْعُذْرِ, and this person is not a kafir because of an udhr. Now come back to me now. Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi was from the Shafi'iyya, as you know. Obviously quite Imam al-Rafi'. Now we're going to go to the Hanabila. Now we're going to quote Imam al-Mardawi rahmatullahi alayhi, was from the later Hanabila, but one of the well-respected Hanabila, because what he did was the early Hanabila, he obviously got all of their rulings, etc., or their positions, and presented the mu'tamad opinion. For example, he wrote a book called Al-Insaf fi Masail al-Khilaf, that the justice for those rulings that have a difference of opinion. But if those who are from the Hanabi will know Al-Imam al-Mardawi rahmatullahi alayhi. So as you can see on screen, we've got the book At-Tahbir شرح تحرير في أصول الفقه. Now this is by Al-Mardawi Al-Hanbali. It's a usul book. Imam Mardawi explains the meaning of معلومة بالضرورة. What does he mean? He means that أن يستوي خاصة أهل الدين وعامتهم في معرفته حتى يصير كمعلوم بالعلم الضروري. That knowing by necessity means that it equates or equals that the khas of the people of knowledge, like the ulama, the usuli, the mashayikh, the muakhir, the and what muhaddith and whatnot, that is known by them and the common people, the am, in their understanding, until it becomes known by knowledge, which is necessity. And there is no way of doubting it, meaning that it's so known by necessity that there's no way that there could be any doubt. There's the absence of doubt. Do you understand? That it's independent, meaning that the aql is independent of its understanding. فَيَكُونُ عِلْمًا ضُرُورِيًّا. Then it becomes knowledge that is necessary. So what is that? So Imam Al-Mardawi goes into it and he mentions that like the number of the salawat, meaning the 5, and its raka'at, how many raka'ats there are. This is known by necessity, that the mind, comprehends this, the am and the khas. And the zakat, and the siyam, meaning the fasting, and the charity, and the hajj, and its time, and the prohibition of zina, the prohibition of zina, and khamr, and stealing, and what, where the arrow is over, and things that are similar to it. Things that are similar to it. Lutiyya. This is known. معلومة من الدين بالضرورة. So come back to me now. So these pseudo-intellectuals, they don't go by the classical scholars. This matter of what is known by necessity, right? I don't know what is wrong with these so-called celebrity speakers. You have these so-called qualifications. Don't you know about this matter? I am the furthest away from issue takfir lightly. Do you understand? But we can't ignore this fact. But selective technicalities and whatnot. Those across the pond really need some help. They, one, are suffering from inferior complex. Two, they're not proud of their Islam because they're always bending over backwards like this Umar Suleiman, Yasser Qadi, the Suhaib Webb. Honestly, I feel sorry for the Muslims in the States that these are the type of people representing them. Uqsum billahi al-ali al-azim. I am so worried for the next generation in the States. And even here as well to a certain extent. But over there's something else. Like, they study, they get their qualifications, and then all of a sudden they come out with ridiculous usuls and twist and bend, and oh my god, it's just getting ridiculous. Now, these individuals look up to Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. Some of them may not, but most of them. What does he say about this matter? As you can see on screen, we've got مجموع الفتاوى. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah mentions وَمَنْ جَحَدَ وُجُوبَ بَعْدِ الْوَاجِبَاتِ الظَّاهِرَةِ الْمُتَوَاتِرَةِ. That anyone that rejects some of the obligatory apparent which are mass transmitted, like what? Like the salawat al-khams, like the 5 daily prayers and the siyam in Ramadan and the hajj, and rejecting and what? جَحْدِ تَحْرِيمِ بَعْدِ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ الظَّاهِرَةِ الْمُتَوَاتِرَةِ. And those who reject some of the muharramat, the tahrim of the muharramat, the prohibition of those are apparent mutawatir. Like what? Where the arrow's over, you pseudo-intellectuals, like Yasir Qadi and whatnot. Like what? Kal fawahishi, like immorality, like lewdness. Whoever rejects the muharramat of these and says, no, I don't believe it's muharram. No, I don't believe it. And what else? Well, zulmi, and oppression, and khamr, and the arrows where they used to seek blessings from, and zina, and other than that, or what else? Ibn Taymiyyah goes further. And those who reject some of the halal, mubahat that are, recommended, which are apparent and mutawatir, like bread, lamb, and nikah. Whoever rejects all of these, like the wajibat, like the salat, etc., and then the muharramat, rejects some of them, like the fawahish, Yasir Qadi and whatnot, fawahish, lewdness and immorality, and oppression, and bread, and alcohol, and etc., zina, and those who reject also the mubahat, that's like bread and lamb and nikah, are rejected. You understand what I mean? Are rejected. What are they? With the arrows over, you pseudo-intellectuals. فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ مُرْتَدٌ. They are kafir murtad. And then Ibn Taymiyyah mentions that if they seek tawbah, etc., etc. Come back to me now. There you go, you pseudo-intellectuals. What more do I need to present? But I'm going to present more. Because at the end of the day, because of your so-called qualifications, doctorate, and these qualifications, these alamiyah, there's one person, individual, I can't remember his name, someone sent it to me, he's got Alim, next to his name. And, you look at him, he doesn't have a fist-length beard. And he's put Alim next to him. I think he graduated from, what's his name? I can't remember now. I think it was one of Akbar Nadawi's programs. But seriously, these are these pseudo-intellectuals. So let me explain what they're trying to do. Look, these pseudo-intellectuals are trying to be cute, but they're not that cute. So what's going on? Let me explain what these pseudo-intellectuals are trying to do. So look, you got the mawali of takfir. So obviously, you've got the impediment of takfir. And someone waqa'a fil kufr, like someone falls into kufr, for example. And he could be crazy, udhr bit ta'wil, udhr muta'awwal or whatnot. Then you got these impediments, right? And once you do bulugh al-hujjah, iqamat al-hujjah, once you present the evidence and you convey it and whatnot, then the rafa' mawana, that these impediments are now lifted, and then a person can be issued with takfir because, he could be, stubborn or whatnot. That anyone that rejects something that is known by necessity, by known by necessity, he does not have the mawani of takfir, It's known by necessity. There is no mawani, This is what I'm trying to prove. As you can see, we've got the book Jami' al-Ulum wal-Hikam. This is by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali mentions, وَفِي الْجُمْلَةِ فَمَا تَرَكَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولَهُ حَلَالًا إِلَّا مُبَيِّنًا وَلَا حَرَامًا إِلَّا مُبَيِّنًا. That in short, in summary rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger have not left anything that is halal except they've given clarity to it, and what is haram except that they've given clarity to it. وَلَكِنْ بَعْدَهُ كَانَ أَظْهَرُ بَيَانًا مِنْ بَعْدٍ. And some are more clear than others. And then Ibn Rajab mentions, فَمَا ظَهَرَ بَيَانَهُ. And from what has been made clear, وَإِسْتَشْحَرَ وَعُلِمَ مِنَ الدِّينِ بِالضَّرُورَةِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ لَمْ يَبِقْ فِيهِ شَكٌّ. From what is made apparent and is famous, and is known in the religion by necessity, from that which has no doubt in it, there is no excuse for anyone with ignorance in the land which Islam is apparent. Just to clarify, we don't live in an Islamic country, but we have Islam apparent. It's known. In the West, Islam is known. We have madaris, we have circles of knowledge, we have centers, we have institutes. Damn it, we have websites. We have all sorts of Islamic knowledge propagated in the lands where Islam is not the dominant religion. So there's no excuse. That is known by necessity, and as he mentions, that is famous, and there's no doubt in it. Like Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, like Imam Nawawi, like Imam Rafi', like Imam al-Mardawi, now Ibn Rajab. Like these scholars have made it clear regarding the separation between what is ulama min ad-din bid-darura, which is known by necessity in religion, and those that are not known, which have like certain like the inheritance and like marrying a woman in that period, etc. So you see the clear distinction. But no, these pseudo intellectuals don't want to tell you this, right? They're the ones that got the qualifications. Like the ones that don't have the qualifications are propagating true Islam, are propagating the correct position. And one of them trying to correlate a clear rejection of what is ulama min ad-din bid-darura to the story of Osama bin Zayd, who was in the battlefield, the intense battlefield. He got him cornered, he was fighting with him, he uttered the shahada or the shahadatain, and Osama bin Zayd, based on his ijtihad, thought he's due to save his neck and killed him. And then the Prophet ﷺ, when he was told about this, he said to Osama bin Zayd, reprimanded him, said, did you open his heart when he said he only did to save his neck? What's the correlation between the two? What's the correlation between something that is ulama min ad-din bid-darura to someone in the battlefield uttering shahada, who weren't even Muslim, etc. La ilaha illallah. What is the world coming to? Someone like me who's not even a student of knowledge can see through their ridiculousness. But yet these people are bringing these examples, pathetic examples, ridiculous, diabolical examples. Now, let me present another evidence for you. As you can see on screen, we got Ruhul Ma'ani by Imam al-Alusi al-Hanafi. Imam al-Alusi, rahmatullah, under the verse that we have sent Nuh to his people, he comments and says that, look, things that are specific to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, meaning in terms of him being sent to the jinn and the ins, وَذَلِكَ مُجْمَعٌ عَلَيْهِ مَعْلُومٍ مِنَ الدِّينِ بِالضَّرُورَةِ, that this is known by the necessity of religion, i.e. in terms of what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. And then he said, فَيَكْفُرُ مُنْكِرُهُ, that you make takfir on the one that rejects anything that is known by necessity in religion. This is Imam al-Alusi saying this. Continuing on, we got التحبير again. Now, Al-Mardawi presents a statement from Abu al-Farj min Ibn al-Jawzi في مقدمة الإيضاح, in the مقدمة, the introduction of his book Al-Idah fi al-Fiqh, and he mentions the limitation of knowledge which is daruri, which is in the language, which is necessity, means carrying something and basically making it an obligation. You understand? Meaning urgent, or etc., etc. Then he mentions in the Sharia, it mentions that it's binding upon a person to adhere to it, and there's no way of exiting from it. Okay, that it's not possible. So in the Sharia, the ilm bil-darura or ilm daruriya means that it's basically obliged for a person who's mukallif, okay, to adhere to it, and it's not possible to exit from it. Okay, it's not possible for what? To exit from it. So as we can see from the language and from the usuli perspective, anyone that rejects anything that is known by necessity is kafir. Anything that is rejected by necessity. So it could be from the wajibat, like the salat and the siyam, etc., like the Ramadan and whatnot. Whoever rejects some of this, and whoever rejects some of from the muharramat, like obviously fawahish and dhulm and whatnot, and zina, and reject some of the mubahat, reject some of the things that are recommended, and he rejects it because I don't believe in it. No, I don't believe in it. فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ مُرْتَدٌ. He's a kafir murtad, khalas. And this is from the classical scholars. Subhanallah. Now, when do you have those type of excuses? Okay, so these pseudo-intellectuals, right, what they're trying to present. Kalimatul haq yurid biha batil. A statement of truth, but what they want from it is falsehood. So they're not presenting it, they're not doing tatbiq of it. The tanzeel of the hukam, they're not doing it. The ta'sil is there, but the tanzil is out of place. So the actual principle of it is right, but the application is ridiculous. Let's see what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says. Now we go back to Majmu' al-Fatawa. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentions, وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ قَدْ يَنْشَأُ فِي الْأَمْكِنَةِ وَالْأَزْمِنَةِ الَّتِي يَنْدَرِسُ فِيهَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ الْعُلُومِ النُّبُوَّةِ. That there's a lot of people that have been raised in places and time that a lot of the prophetic knowledge has been lost or extinguished. حتى لا يبقى من يبلغ ما بعث الله به ورسوله من الكتاب والحكمة. And there's no one that remains until that, and there's no one that can convey to them what Allah and His Messenger has sent from the book and the wisdom. The wisdom meaning the Sunnah. فلا يعلم كثير مما يبعث الله به ورسوله. And there's a lot of it that they don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent with and His Messenger. فلا يكون هناك من يبلغه ذلك. And there's no one there to convey it. وَمِثْلُ هَذَا لَا يَكْفُرُ. And like these examples, you don't make takfir. Okay, even if they fall into matters which is ulama min ad-din bid-darura, you don't make takfir because of them living places where the message hasn't reached them. Ibn Taymiyyah continues and says, وَلِهَذَا اتَّفَقَ الْأَئِمَّةُ عَلَى أَنَّ مَنْ نَشَاءَ ببادية بعيدة عن أهل العلم والإيمان. And the ulama are unanimous agreement that anyone that is raised in like the desert areas, the far areas, in the badiyah, far from the people of knowledge and iman, وكان حديث الأحد بالإسلام, and they are new to Islam, فأنكر شيئا من هذه الأحكام الظاهرة المتواترة, that he negates some things that are known from the rulings which are apparent and mutawatir. Remember, those who live far away from the people of Islam and knowledge and Iman in the Badiyah and the Reef and whatnot, what did Ibn Taymiyyah say? فَإِنَّهُ لَا يُحْكَمُ بِكُفْرِهِ. He is not placed with kufr. These are these pseudo-intellectuals are trying to present like these type of people who are new to Islam, who are far. Then you don't make takfir of them if they fall into which is known by necessity. And then Ibn Taymiyyah presents a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and says, يأتي على الناس الزمان لا يعرفون فيه صلاة ولا زكاة ولا صوم ولا حجا إلا الشيخ الكبير والعجوز الكبيرة يقول أدركنا آباءنا وهم يقولون. He says that there will come a time where the people won't know the salat and the zakat and the fasting and the hajj except the old sheikh and the old woman, and they used to say we found our fathers, and they used to say la ilaha illallah, and they used to say la ilaha illallah wa hum la yadruna as-salat wa la zakat wa la hajj, and they don't complete the hajj and the sawm and etc. So come back to me. So you can see Ibn Qudama in al-Mughni when he presents the ruling of the Tariq salat, he presents that as well, the one that nasha fil badiyah ba'ida, etc., the one that's far away, then you won't make takfir, because the Hanabila are strict on the salat. If you miss a salat, then you're kafir. As well as the other three obviously say, if he does it due to juhad, then yeah. But if he does it due to being kaslan, lazy and whatnot, but muqarrir, that he affirms that it's obligation, then he's not kafir. But that's a different story altogether. So the plethora of evidences that are presented against these pseudo-intellectuals, and the names we mentioned earlier, that whoever ankara shay'an, the one that rejects anything which is ulima bil ad-din bid-darura or ma'luma bil ad-din bid-darura, this person is a kafir. And I presented from the Hanabila, from the Shafi'iyya and whatnot. And these pseudo-intellectuals, once again, they have no backbone. That's the crux of it. And how much more information do we have to present? This was lengthy as it was. So at the end of the day, a grade below a student of knowledge, you could keep your qualifications. You could keep those paper that have, I've graduated from here and I've got this ijazat and this. Look, the students of knowledge, the one on social media, some are more knowledgeable than others. We have jealousy and love for al-Islam. We're not going to allow you to manipulate and twist the deen of Islam. And we're not going to stand for. So we're in the second week of Ramadan, so ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and your families, accept your siyam, accept your fasting, your tilawah, your du'as, your taraweeh prayers, and forgive your sins and have mercy upon you. And I ask you to also make dua for me also, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me and grant me mercy and increase my knowledge, and accept this from me and clean my heart from riyah, and give me the understanding of religion. Ameen. So take care of yourselves. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن، إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن، سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني، وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني، ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني، وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني، تمر ساعة